Greetings, YouTube, family, friends, and those that are curious what has happened to me and my garden and the homestead. We have copious amounts of serrano peppers. We're waiting for them to turn red, and then we can them. And then there's jalapenos. We're waiting for those to turn red. I picked a honeydew melon because it was that tan color on the bottom and it's starting to sound right. Anaheim peppers, 4 sets of those. Just starting to turn red. You can see on the Anaheims. And then the pimentos. And then we've been eating chard. There's a volunteer potato plant there. Been eating the broccoli all along, and then when they just want to keep bolting, and these plants have been serving us for 2 months, and I got tired of cutting them back, and so I pull them up one at a time and give them to the chickens, and they really like it. What is that, kohlrabi, I think, but the ground squirrels came in and were coming through the wire and devastating salad. So rather than doing what I usually do and trap or shoot them with a 17 HMR, which takes a day to wipe them out, I just set a trap and trapped them all. Unfortunately, I got a skunk. I really didn't want the skunk, but the luck of the draw. Cabbage has been doing really good. Of course, we pulled the big heads out. We ate those, and then you let what's left of the plant keeps making these. They get about that big. Oh, look, that one's ready to bolt right through the middle. So this one is ready today because they'll start to split. It's about how big they get on the secondary growth. And the chard, I just keep breaking leaves off, and you can see we started way down here, and I leave the older leaves to sustain the plant, and then the tender young ones I snap off and fry them in olive oil, steam them. The asparagus was the bomb this year, and the strawberries too. So I'll go down and show you some more. So you may remember the crazy timber boxes that we made, and we put potatoes in them, and they're doing well. This is the last time I'm going to water because the heat is causing them to die back. You see the new potatoes sticking up out of the ground. So I'll let them get dry. It's a lot nicer to harvest them when they're dry and died back. The strawberries, I can't can enough. I can't pick and make enough pies. This one bed alone is enough for 4 families, no joke. And these everbears, here it is mid-August, and you can see that it keeps throwing up brand new one, brand new blossoms, keeps making luscious fruit. And you can only pick and eat so much. Oop, there go the glasses again. So this box has worked out really well. Plus there's the original box up there. And then we grow spearmint and peppermint, and I harvest it, I dry it, and we put it in our tea, and it's a blast. These plants, I don't remember the name of them, but they attract bees like no other. As you can see, there's bees all over it, and that really helps us with our pollination. So that's the purpose of those plants. The biggest problem I have is we've been thinking about selling, so we've been doing a lot of work. I've been traveling, looking for other areas to move in and other homesteads to buy. And so I haven't been able to get up here and manage the garden. I've had real nice folks come in and water it for me, but I haven't been able to, like these tomatoes. If I had been here and had the health to do it, I would have been pinching the blossoms back and made these plants a quarter the size they are. They would have been easier to get to and still produce more fruit than I needed. Now you've got fruit everywhere, but it's difficult to get to because the plants got too big. I should have been pinching blossoms off a long time ago, but I wasn't here. Been traveling. And the other beds that you saw me build. Watermelon, honeydew melon, cantaloupe, pickles. You can see the cucumbers down there. Been going like crazy. Lots of watermelon. Obviously more squash. I think everybody does this. They just take one zucchini and just say, how big will that thing get? Just one. See what it does. You can only give so much zucchini away. Crooknecks are really the best when they're really small like this. That's the right eating size for crooknecks if you want the flavor. At least for me. They're alright when they're like that. But you know, when you get 10 of them out here, you gotta see if you can give them away because you can only eat so much. The onions are dying back from the heat, so this section started to go first because they're white onions, and the purple onions lasted longer, but they're dying back, so I watered this, and that'll be the last water on the purple onions. You know, that's a good size. That's what, 3¼ inches across. We have baby bells waiting for these guys to turn red and sweet. So 3 of these plants. And somebody, a friend, gave me 10 gallons of corn. So I quit planting corn and just watered what we had in the ground. Can't remember what that squash is called. But I have about 30 of these things. They're just growing everywhere. And they jumped out of the boxes. They were growing in between the corn, and they said, hey, we don't have enough light. Let's go find it. And I think they want to take over the world. They're headed for the beans. There's butternut and spaghetti squash and acorn. I think that's the spaghetti. Should be able to find an acorn sitting in there somewhere. There's an acorn hanging there. There should be a spaghetti squash hanging there. And some of the corn did okay. Not very good this year. Not impressed. We also use some really old corn. Sometimes I think some of the seed we use is 30 years old. We've been using it out of the same box for 10 and a half forever. And you can quote me on that, however long that is. So the garden is producing more than we can eat and can, no doubt. But if you're not here to tend it, then you can end up with some problems. And the beans did good, but there's a baby deer, 2 baby fawns, and I've got this whole network of strings everywhere out here, and I've got chicken wire on the ground, hoping they trip on it. And they're sneaking right in next to that shovel, tiptoeing on top of the chicken wire that's there on the ground. And they come over here and they just keep eating these plants down. But you know what? That's okay, because I can't can this many. God, last year was like 64 quarts, and there's really only 2 of us eating on it. Mom and Dad eat some, but not as much as we do. So we put in 2 canner loads, and I'm processing a canner load in the house right now. You can only eat so many. Great source of protein. So I'm thinking for me and Carol, or Carol and I, we only need about, at most, 12 feet of fence to feed us. And maybe 24 if we had 4 people eating on it. So these are Kentucky Wonders, and they are amazing what they produce. Off-grid system's working great. Life is good. Jesus is Lord, and we're trusting Him for all things. And my health is really not good. Actually, my lungs and heart are great, even though my lungs are scarred from lung surgery. Still have the heavy metal problems from the manganese poisoning from years of welding, dealing with those neurological issues, but we're getting by. I'm just not able to get out and do any work. The arthritis from my tailbone to my skull is just inflamed all the time. So, if you're mine too, those of you that pray, I covet your prayers very much. And we're looking to possibly move, buy something smaller than 40 acres. We've been all the way to the Canadian border and into Montana and back down all through the state of Oregon. And we're praying and wondering where the Lord would have us. And of course, we're also looking for open doors for ministry. And there's only so much I can do without health to do it. So we're just trusting God for all of it. I'll probably leave this post up for a few days, recreate my channel for a few days, and then I'm going to shut it down till probably January. And by January, I will either have moved or not. And if I do, we'll be starting another project. Seeing quite a few properties that are nice. One that's got 2,200 feet of its own river. And it's got 2 houses and 32 acres, and it's very affordable. It's actually an old sawmill that was converted to, the office was converted to a house. The house was built in 1912. And it's just a very cool place. Yeah, so we're thinking about that one. I'm not sure. So we would be taking it off-grid. That would be the project that I would share, because the gardens and the greenhouses and all of that are already self-sustaining and have been since probably the late 30s. Power didn't even come into that area until the late 30s. So at any rate, we would take it off-grid. That would be the project that I would share, and my wife will be involved with it. We may restore some of the old mill housing quarters that were there. That would be fun. But we're not convinced that's the right place. We're still praying, and we're waiting on God to see what we ought to do. Right, Blue? Right. All right. Have a very, very blessed night. It's good to share with you guys for a little bit, and be looking for me sometime in January. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.